present.
Coming up on Sports Path, the fall season is upon us and games are just getting started.
We have soccer and football highlights and much more coming your way with some great overtime games to start off the season.
After what seems like a long summer break, we are back to get you caught up on your Fab Four schools. This is Sports Path, so stay tuned.
Nobody touched it in front. What a great cross in front. Give the Zephyrs. Calvin gets a good. She's got control. They got him. Cage with a goal. The pony.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Sam Erickson, joined by John Miller. And boy, does it feel good to be back. How was your summer, my man?
Oh, it was great. How was yours?
Pretty good, can't complain, but excited to be back in the new Sports Path studio.
Oh yeah, we got a great new studio. I missed your beautiful face. It's good to have you right alongside next to me this year for the Sports Path once again. So let's get into those highlights and plenty of other news to get to as we cover the Sports Path episode to start the year.
You got that right. It's always my favorite time of the year as high school sports has returned. We're talking football, soccer, and volleyball, and all are getting started as that school year has just begun. The teams are back on the field and, of course, back onto that court.
Yeah, and along with some changes in the weather to begin this fall season, we also have made some changes to Sports Path. You may have remembered that during the spring season, we rebranded from being TV19 Sports to now being named SEC Sports.
That's right, John. We have been hard at work all summer long, at least some of us, updating the show a little bit. We have an all-new graphics package along with new music. And what about that new intro video?
Oh, I can't tell you, that intro video just gets me fired up for an all-new season of Sports Path.
Let's go.
Yeah, so let's get started with both of our favorite segments, the social media montage. A lot of our favorite people to follow from last year have graduated, so remember to follow us at JohnSECTV and at SamSECTV so we can see all of your juicy takes on your Fab Four via Twitter.
That's right. We need some content, baby. Let's get it. But we'll start off this week's segment by taking a look at some Mahtomedi football players, and it looks like the 2017 Mahtomedi football team had some fun at the State Fair after an early practice on August 30th. Of course, the State Fair is now over for the year, but it's nice to see at least one of our Fab Four teams got out to enjoy the great Minnesota get-together.
Yeah, breaking news, Sam. After losing a lot of seniors from last year, they're building team cohesion over there at Mahtomedi, so good stuff for them.
Gotta love the team-building exercises.
Oh, that always gets you going. So next tweet comes from the Mahtomedi girls volleyball team. They recently had a big win over the Woodbury Royals, which went to 5 sets. That exciting match actually took place last night on Woodbury's home court. The Zephyrs stand 1-1 in volleyball with their next matchup slated for tomorrow night. We will be there to cover the big game. There are still some technical things to work out, but we do hope to carry that game live right here on SEC Community. So look for that September 6th at 7 p.m., which is tomorrow.
That's exciting. Well, after that quick look at the social media montage, let's get into it and take a look at some of our football coverage. And I'm going to start by taking a look at the Suburban Gray Conference to see how Mahtomedi and Tartan fared in their first games of the year. A couple of our Fab Four schools in that conference. Mahtomedi lost a slew of seniors last year and got off to a sluggish start in their first game, but eventually got things rolling. They were down 21-14 after the first half, and then 28-21 in the third quarter, but went on a 14-0 run in the fourth to get the win. Senior running back Braden Anderson, filling in some big shoes after the departed Jalen Fry, had 2 touchdown runs, and senior quarterback Brody Larson added 2 touchdowns of his own, including the game winner with 16 seconds to go. Now, Tartan lost a lot of seniors as well, but they did not start off their season with a win like Mahtomedi. They lost to South St. Paul 34-6, but one highlight was senior running back Trey Martin doing his best, finishing the game with 20 rushes for 183 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, South St. Paul is starting off strong once again after sharing the conference title with Mahtomedi a year ago. Both teams had 8-0 records last season. But we're going to see how things shape up in this small conference with only 5 teams throughout this year.
Man, 20 rushes for 183 yards. You think his team would have won the game, but they got blown out. But now let's take you to White Bear Lake versus Centennial Cougars. This time in the season opener on last Thursday night. First big play comes late in the first quarter. Daniel Lyons goes deep for a pass to number 29. It's good. That sets up the Bears for a chance to score first, and they would do just that. Lyons would take the ball himself for the first touchdown in the first quarter, score 6-0. The extra point would be blocked. Later in the game, second quarter now, Sam Bonfie, running back for Centennial, he would get the handoff on the inside run. He would just bulldoze his way to the end zone, giving Centennial a 7-6 score after the extra point is good. Let's move over to the third quarter now. Ryan Koob, quarterback for the Cougars, gets a nice gain on the play. It was only one defender away from being in the end zone. So great run there for Koob and nice tackle by the White Bear Lake defender in order to stop him from getting to the end zone. All right, 4th and inches in the fourth quarter. Koob would take this one himself, or Koob would take himself after that next play. Centennial is up now 14-6 after the extra point. Now we'll take you to the 4th and inches. Bonfie with the ball again gets a nice run up the middle, powering his way through that White Bear Lake defense. And then on the next play, Bonfie would actually fool our camera operators as he runs it up the middle once again, only getting barely touched on his way to the end zone. 21-6 lead after the extra point. This is looking like last season for the White Bear Lake Bears, but the Bears are determined to get that W. Lions goes deep up the middle again for a huge play, getting the Bears closer to another touchdown. Great job by the wide receiver holding on to the ball. Next play, Lions keeps it himself again for their second touchdown, his second rushing one of the day. This time the extra point is good, 21-13 game now. Now things get a little fancy here near the end of the fourth quarter, 3 minutes left. Handoff to the running back. He would bomb this one down to the far side of the field, wide open wide receiver. He would walk this one into the end zone. White Bear Lake trailing Centennial by 2. On the next play for the 2-point conversion, the whole offensive line for White Bear Lake would line up on the far side of the field. They'll once again do another trick play, handing it off to the wide receiver. He throws it to his big wide receiver, boxing out the defender for the 2-point conversion. Now White Bear Lake gets a little sloppy here. A missed snap would make White Bear Lake go for a field goal here in overtime. That would be blocked just like the kick in the first half. That gives Centennial the ball, and all they need to do is score, and Bonfie just rushes this one right up the middle. So Centennial takes this one. White Bear Lake still hasn't won a game in over 2 years. Not a good start, but they definitely had a lot to build off of, Sam.
Yeah, and with that, we will take a look at some standings. Of course, White Bear being the only 6A school in our Fab Four, they got some stiff competition all season long, but a nice start to the year after not winning a game last season. Now, they may not have won, but this game, they did a lot of good things in this game. Senior quarterback Daniel Lyons looked fantastic, and Coach Bartlett looks like he has a guy that can get them at least a few wins this year. Lyons can do it through the air and on the ground. And we'll take a look at those standings in what is now called the Metro East. That's going to get confusing for you Sports Path fans. It's a tough conference, but every team in the conference lost but Roseville in the opening week. Now, nobody, of course, played a conference matchup, but everyone but Roseville has a loss in their overall record for the season. Look for East Ridge and Cretin-Derham Hall to come back strong, however. But it's kind of weird looking at this graphic with Metro East on the top and seeing White Bear Lake. Now, the only sport where White Bear Lake actually falls into the Metro East standings is football. They normally make their home in the Suburban East for all other sports. Yeah, it's kind of confusing. It's Metro East, there's a Metro West, Metro North, Metro South. So for football purposes, White Bear Lake is in what we call the Metro East.
Yeah, crazy to see East Ridge getting blown out, Sam. So heading over to the Suburban Gold now, the new conference. Let's take a look at how North St. Paul did after a tough season last year, where they finished 1-7. Not so great of a start to this year either, getting nothing going on offense at all. Losing to St. Thomas Academy 16-0. Robbinsdale, Cooper, and Irondale at the top of the standings after winning their first games. So let's get into soccer.
Yeah, that'll pretty much do it for football. We will take a break and come back and talk about how your Fab Four schools have started out on the soccer pitch. Stay tuned. Sports Path continues after the break.
veteran, and my victory was finding the strength to be a champion.
I am a veteran. My victory is having a job I can be proud of.
America's veterans are on their most important tour, the tour of their lives.
My victory was finishing my education.
Mine is proving a disability is not a limitation.
At DAV, we're on a mission to help veterans get the benefits they've earned.
My victory is having my new battle buddy.
As veterans face their challenges, DAV is there to help for victories great and small.
I'm a veteran, and my victory is getting the help I needed to put my life back together.
DAV offers veterans of all generations a lifetime of support.
I am a veteran. My victory is being there for my family.
When America's veterans win, we all win. Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Take a good look at yourself. Oh, yeah. And turn. Oh, very nice. Check that smooth backside one more time. No, really. Check it. Do you see any changing or suspicious spots? It's your skin, and it's important. If you're a man over 50, you're in the group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the cancer that kills one person every hour. When detected early, skin cancer is highly treatable. Check yourself out and find someone else to help. Learn more about what to look for at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
SEC sports fans, we want to remind you, as always, to check us out on social media. We recently had a social media shuffle and mixed around our social media pages a bit with the rebrand to SEC Sports. You can now find us at the social media pages shown on the screen. Don't hesitate to give us a like or follow to see what we are up to and join in on the conversation in the Northeast Metro Prep Sports.
Welcome back to Sports Path. As you just saw, we got out to the season opening football game for White Bear Lake last Thursday night, but that was not our first broadcast of the season. We also taped some soccer games, and we saw some of our teams open their season out on the pitch.
Yeah, so let's start out with girls soccer now. White Bear Lake versus Centennial. Season opener, Centennial state champs in Class 2A last year. So early in the game, Centennial gets a nice shot on net. Goalie Ella Janicki makes a great save, deflecting the ball up into the crossbar using those basketball moves she's got. White Bear Lake gets a chance to fire back, but the angle is too shallow and the ball sails across the front of the net. White Bear Lake would eventually get on the board first against defending state champs Bailey Machula. Gets the first goal of the season for the Bears, 1-0 White Bear Lake. Some more good chances for White Bear off of a free kick on the next highlight. None of the shots could find the back of the net here. The ball eventually goes out of bounds, as you'll see right off the sidebar. White Bear Lake had plenty of chance to put this game up 2-0, but unfortunately they couldn't do it. Then once again, Janicki would show her skill in the net with a great save coming out to stop the Cougars, keeping the score at 1-0. Janicki continues to put on a clinic there, goalie. And then the next play, we'll see White Bear Lake get a little lucky right here as Centennial has some great looks at the net. Janicki gets back barely in time to get the ball deflected out so that White Bear Lake can stay up 1-0. We'll slow-mo that play. Janicki, you see, she pulls herself far out of the net. The Centennial player kick it off a White Bear Lake player. Janicki runs back, just barely getting the ball to spin so that her teammate can kick it out of bounds. Shortly after, though, Centennial scores off of a free kick, header into the net from Megan Schock, and the contest is tied up at 1. After a hard-fought game, Centennial eventually scores again. As you'll see, a little fast break right here, 1-on-3, and she'll kick it past Janicki. Centennial up 2-1, so the White Bear Lake cannot beat the defending state champs. They get a win over the Bears, but, if you're the Bears, you got to feel good playing with the state champs, so close, Sam.
Yeah, excellent effort. As you mentioned, John, 2A state champions. That's the top division, so Centennial definitely a good team, albeit that was last year. But nice effort by White Bear Lake. Did another White Bear Lake game, and I believe I'll have those highlights coming up here pretty soon as we try and cue up those graphics. It's going to be the Battle of the Lake. There it is, against Matamidi. This one was at White Bear Lake Stadium as well. Matamidi coming to this one 3-0-0, undefeated on the year. We'll pick it up halfway through the first half. Chance there for the Zephyrs as Heinz gets a nice chance on goal, but Janicki gets a glove on it to send it past the goal. Short time later, Bears now pressuring, but good job by the Matamidi goaltender pouncing on that one. Great timing, not allowing the shot to get off. This one crossed in for Matamidi, headed over the net by White Bear, safely avoiding a goal there. Still tied up here in the first half. White Bear another chance and another excellent save from the Zephyr goaltender as she comes out and makes the stop. So no score through the first half. In fact, no score through the first two halves. We got to pick this one up in double overtime, and there's Claire Odemark, lady on the spot, knocks it past the goalie on the doorstep to get the goal. Makes it 1-0 late on into double overtime, and that would be your final. White Bear Lake picks up the win 1-0, and Matamidi gets handed their first loss on the season.
Yeah, so let's see how Matamidi bounces back versus Stillwater. Both conference champs from last year, both lost in the championship game in the sections. Matamidi starts off the scoring with a goal halfway through the first half, right over the head of the goaltender, making the score 1-0. But the Ponies would come back and tie it up in the second half with a deflection off the corner kick. Great timing there for a 1-1 tie. Game goes into double overtime, 35 seconds and counting off the clock as Matamidi sets up for a free kick here. The ball would eventually fly through the air and find the back of the net. No one touched that one. Matamidi was able to hold off the Ponies for the final 30 seconds of the game for a 2-1 win in double overtime. So great job for the Zephyrs and great bounce back win after losing to White Bear Lake.
Yeah, talk about timing. Man, do you think they planned out that goal, or that was a happy accident right there? Matamidi getting some bonus soccer, a couple of back-to-back double overtime games. You saw they got the win there. And we'll take a look at those standings. They sit 4-2. They won their first three, but you saw where they lost to White Bear Lake. They also lost to East Ridge, but bounced back with that victory against Stillwater. They play a lot of big schools, so nice job by White Bear Lake getting that win against Matamidi and Matamidi playing well against White Bear Lake and then getting that win against Stillwater as Matamidi a 1A school, Stillwater a 2A.
Yeah, so let's take you to the Suburban East standings, which we'll have up for you right here. White Bear Lake ranked 13th in Class 2A. They lost that opening game to Centennial. Claire Odemark able to lift the Bears over Matamidi in overtime. They'll start conference play tomorrow, Thursday, against Creighton-Durham Hall.
Well, looks like that is that for girls soccer. Great start for many of our Fab Four schools and a few overtime games to make things exciting, especially here on SCC Sports. Let's move on to the boys to see where they started the season off. And I guess we're going to start with the White Bear Lake versus Hill Murray highlights. Already into it. White Bear Lake with a chance, but the Pioneer goalie pounces on it and gets the stop. A little bit later, throwing to Lauren Altman, tries to flick it over the goalie, but it goes over the crossbar, and we stay tied at 0. Now Matt Langer continues to look good in net in the first half for the Pioneers. Nice kick save there to keep it 0-0. Second half now, White Bear Lake defender Zach Tom whiffs on a kick to clear the ball. Hill Murray almost gets a chance on that, but goalie Colin Hupert comes out to stop it for the Bears. Now the Bears pepper the net a little bit and eventually get the ball past the goalie as Karsten Kletty nets his first goal of the season. Kletty is all smiles there as he put White Bear up 1-0. Now Kletty's going to get another opportunity a few minutes later, but Matt Langer keeps the ball out. Another nice save by the Pioneer goalie. Here's where White Bear really peppers the net. A couple of chances. The original shallow angle doesn't go in. Another one doesn't go in. And eventually the ball falls there, and Matthew Johnson puts it into the back of the net to make the score 2-0. White Bear Lake looking like they're going on to the W. Nice job by Johnson. In fact, they do go on and win it. 2-0 is your final. White Bear with their first win of the season. And the Bears are actually undefeated since then with 3 wins, no losses, and a tie to start out the season. Not too bad by the boys in orange.
Yeah, not too bad. Now let's take you to boys soccer again. Matamidi versus Liberty Classical Academy. I got a feeling Liberty Classical Academy will not be playing any Bacher Beethoven after this one. All right, the pace of the game was set early as Liberty Classical goalie can't stop a ball that rolls right past him. 1-0 Matamidi. A little bit later, Mott nets their 3rd goal of the game across the front for an easy assist. 3-0 now, Matamidi on top. Then Matamidi gets a piece of the ball here on a corner kick to deflect in for a 4-0 lead, and Matamidi just running away with this one, skipping ahead to the 7th goal of the game. The Zephyrs are just messing with the goalie now. They make this one 7-0. Now in the second half, it's not even the second half yet. Matamidi gets an awesome header in the net for their 8th goal. Great one to start the second half. I mean, Liberty Classical might as well just pack their bags and leave after this one. And then we'll see Ryan Murphy gets a hat trick, his 3rd goal in the game for a 9-0 lead early in the second half. Matamidi just continuing to blow out their opponents. And then Brian Conlaw will get a hat trick for himself to make the score 11-0 as he hits that one at the top of the net. But that wouldn't be it. A 13-0 final score would start out a rough season for Liberty Classical, but they're just a small school from White Bear Lake. Great job coming out to play with the big schools, as most of their games on their schedule are against a lot smaller schools than Matamidi. Matamidi with the easy 13-0 win. Now let's take you to the boys Metro East standings. Matamidi is 3-0, beating Duluth Denfeld, St. Croix Prep, and St. Paul Harding. Helio de la Torres leading with 2 goals. North St. Paul, Atta Clareman and Busquets Judy moved back to Haiti, leaving the Polars a lot thinner than they expected. Atta Clareman was the soccer player of the year in Minnesota. That leaves them at 1-2-1. Tartan off to an impressive 3-1 after beating Fridley on Saturday. So that wraps up the Metro East.
And on to the Suburban East, where we have White Bear Lake. They are 2-0-1, including a big win against North St. Paul, 5-1, and a tie of my alma mater, Minneapolis Southwest, 2-2, who's usually a pretty good soccer team. In the win against North St. Paul, Lauren Altman had 4 goals. Might hear a little bit more about that later. And the boys will also start their conference play Thursday against Cretin-Derham Hall.
Yeah, that just about wraps it up for soccer. We'll move on to the indoors as we take a look at volleyball, and we'll spike this one into the break.
This is the city where danger lurks. Today, a new creature walks among us, terrorizing innocent citizens. They prowl the streets alone and in packs, causing mayhem, destruction, and carnage. Warning, until this threat can be contained, we must all be on the lookout for the dreaded digital deadwalkers. They're not looking out for you.
Dude! Engage!
A public service safety message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, who want to keep everyone well connected.
Sorry.
With strong, healthy bones.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us. All of us. You're going to need our technical skills, our math, our engineering skills. You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills. You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Folks, we want to remind you again about all of our social media accounts here at SCCTV, starting off with our Facebook account. go search Suburban Community Channels on Twitter. You can find us at SCC TV Sports. All of our games are uploaded to our Suburban Community Channels YouTube account. I'm subscribed, and you can even follow us on our Instagram. Just search Suburban Community Channels there as well.
Welcome back to the Sports Path Desk. Once again, I'm Sam Erickson. Main man right here is John Miller. Hopefully you can talk a little bit better than I can. But we are here to bring you all of the highlights in the Northeast Metro of St. Paul right here on Sports Path.
Yeah, so far we've talked football, we have talked soccer. What's left for some Fab Four volleyball? Now, we haven't gotten out to cover any volleyball games yet. Our first volleyball broadcast will be tomorrow night, as I talked about earlier. We're trying to get that one live, and now you can see how our teams have started off here as we go into the girls' volleyball standings.
That's right, John. Still real early days for some of our Fab Four schools. You see North St. Paul started off the season with a win, to nobody's surprise there, but it was an impressive win, sweeping Totino Grace 3-0. Matamidi is 0-1 after a loss to Moundsview, but the real story here is Tartan, who start the year 3-1. But one of those wins came against Roseville, and they beat the Raiders 3-0. And for you fans of North St. Paul volleyball, you gotta like what you hear there. The Raiders, a perennial foe for the North St. Paul team, a lot of times meeting at section championships.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited to see how Kendra Hansen comes out tomorrow night in our game. Hopefully we can get that one to you guys live.
Could be the Polar's year, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, she was dominating last year. All right, so let's take a look at those Suburban East standings. White Bear lost their first game of the year to Centennial. The game only went 3 sets. The score of the first and third set were both 25-21. So White Bear Lake did have their chance to send it to a 4th set, but it just didn't happen.
Well, that is about all the sports coverage we have for tonight, but it is time to leave you with one last thing. It's the moment you have all been waiting for, and that is John Miller's Fab Four Athletes of the Week.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of the show besides the social media montage. So for the male athlete of the week, I have to go with junior midfielder Lauren Altman, number 4 from White Bear Lake. White Bear Lake is currently at 3-0-1, and Altman leads the team with 5 goals so far this year. So nice start for the Bears. Let's go to the female athlete of the week. For the female athlete of the week, I have to go with Matamidi goaltender Megan Lasawi. Her team may be 3-2, but she has never allowed more than 1 goal in a game so far this year. Her goaltending skills have been on full display, and if Matamidi can get that offense going while Lasawi keeps up this good goaltending, they could be in for a very good year. And did I mention that Lasawi is just a sophomore, Sam? So she's got plenty of potential to get even better.
Yeah, man, good stuff. We saw it on display with some of those highlights. Lasawi all over the place making stops for Matamidi. All right, well, with that, we'll take a look now at some of our upcoming broadcasts as we wrap up the show here. Of course, you mentioned, John, we got that volleyball game tomorrow, hopefully going live as Matamidi hosts Hill Murray. Got soccer on the 12th, Tartan versus St. Thomas. And then football, as we like to do during football season, have about a game every Friday. On the 15th, we got North versus Tartan. Got a nice rivalry there, District 622 showdown. And a big one on the 22nd as Matamidi looks to bounce back from losing a lot of seniors. They take on St. Thomas Academy.
Yeah, Jalen Fry, TJ Tumbleson, Anthony Pramel, Andy Boyan, they lost all of their offense. And it's exciting to see where this team can go this year after losing all those seniors and winning going to the championship game last year in the sections. Who is going to step up for this team? And St. Thomas is going to be a real test for them.
Yeah, always are. You saw Brody Larson getting that game-winning touchdown with like 16 seconds left to go for Matamidi. Good stuff there. So possibly doing that replacement job just fine for the Zephyrs. Well, of course, we'll remind you of our next episode of Sports Path. That will be 2 weeks from tonight. That'll be on September the 20th.
Yeah, we'll try to keep it live as always. Remember to tweet at us at JohnSCC and at SamSCC TV because we are looking for stuff for our social media montage, and we absolutely love that segment.
Yeah, we're going to have that, highlights, and everything more on that next episode of Sports Path on the 20th. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.
Oh my goodness.